It's 6:01.
Okay, we are going to open this regular Board of Education meeting, but on a Friday evening, here for the Washington Unified School District Board. Oh, yeah. Because it was already closed. So we have our roll call, and Trustee Pizzotti is not going to be able to be with us for this portion, but Clerk Coffey and Trustee Venegas,
Present.
Vice President Wong, present, and I too am present. Announcements. Oh, actually, we have our Indigenous Land Acknowledgement. I have one here, unless you want to read yours. Okay. And maybe for Policy Committee, that might be a good thing to have as an official one. Okay. The Washington Unified School District and Board of Trustees acknowledges with respect that the land that West Sacramento occupies is a traditional and ancestral homeland of the Patwin and Nisenan people. We recognize and thank the Patwin and Nisenan people as the original stewards of this land, and we honor their continuing cultural and spiritual connections to this special place. And that takes us to the announcement of items to be discussed in closed session. And do we have any public comments regarding closed session?
No public comments received.
Okay, thank you. So closed session is Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Release. Government Code Section 54957.6, Conference with Labor Negotiators, WSTA, CSEA, and Management. And with that, we're going to be going into closed session, and we will reconvene at 6:30. Meeting for this Friday, December 9th at 6:30 p.m. And we are going to announce our actions taken in closed session. Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Release, Information received. And Government Code Section 54957.6, Conference with Labor Negotiators, WSTA, CSEA, and Management, information received. And now we are going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. And can we please have Mr. Cisneros lead us in the pledge? Oh, right.
The button.
Press the green.
No, on the mic.
On the mic.
On
The bottom of the mic.
Follow the mic all the way down. There's a button. Push it.
Very, that was the best.
Green. That's right.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, you may be seated.
All right. That may be the best one yet, I think. All right. And we are now to roll call, and Trustee Pizzotti is not able to be with us tonight, so we have Clerk Coffey.
Present.
Okay. And we have Trustee Venegas
Present.
and Vice President Wong. Present. And I too am present. That takes us to the approval of the agenda. Do I have any changes to the agenda? None? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move.
I second.
Okay. Moved by Vice President Wong and seconded by Trustee Venegas. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I too vote aye. Okay. And now we have communications and celebrations, and it's been a long time since this room has been full. This is exciting. And so we have our River City marching band, and I have Mr. Ainsworth, the Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Professional Learning. Come on up.
Thank you. I just am here to introduce the man behind the machine. we're very honored to have you all join us tonight, and so I'm going to turn it over to Rudy Cisneros. Rudy, take it away.
All right. Good evening, everyone. The microphone works now. Thank you, Matt, for all that. I am the band director for the River City Regiment. This is year 5 now, so 5-year anniversary. Just a little bit of background. The man right here, Stan Moisich, was on the, what's it called? The panel to get me hired here back in 2018. So big thanks for hiring me, man. Thank you so much. That too. So thank you for that. When we had our interview, one of the things that I said in my 5-year plan was that we were going to have a successful transition away from parade to a competitive field unit. And going into year 5, we have successfully done that. Over the last 5 years, we have accumulated a number of acumens that span throughout the Sacramento region, all the way down to the Fairfield area. And the amount of work that these individuals put on over the last 5 years has been extremely incredible. The amount of hours, the amount of sacrifices that they've made. As you can see, we don't have our full marching band here tonight. We at the regiment are extremely flexible with our student involvement. I'll have a few students doing other activities, such as performing with Mr. Hanks's It's a Wonderful Life. And I suggest you go watch it. I saw it on Wednesday. It was great. I have some folks doing sports. I have some individuals that are in tennis, wrestling, soccer. I used to have students in football. I have students in cheer, basketball, and everything in between. And that success that they have brought on from their sport into band has been extremely evident with what we have done over the last 5 years. And we look forward to the continued growth and success of this program moving forward, with the support that we've had with our parents, our administrators, as well as the individuals that are currently up here tonight. So we are thankful for all your support in any which way, and we look forward to continuing to represent the great city of West Sacramento, as well as River City High School, and quite frankly, being the pride of Washington Unified School District. And so I'm done talking. The kids back here want to play. And we're going to perform a little bit of what we performed this year in our field show that was entitled La Nuba from Cirque du Soleil. So I will have my drum major, because I'm not going to conduct, Jonathan, also known as Big Bad John. Lead your marching band, brother. What about it? Thanks for having us, folks. It's a beautiful night, right? And stay indoors. It's going to be raining tomorrow morning. University Regiment, right here.
Outstanding.
Retrato.
We're gonna take a picture.
We're gonna take a picture.
Oh, you're amazing. Front and center sorority. We gotta have our logos. Let's go to You're all in college, right? You're all in college, we're on college.
All right, switch together as best as possible. So far, so good. All eyes on me, and on 3, smile. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Perfect. Thank you. Parents,
Oh,
we all good?
and we'd like for you guys to join us in something real quick. Quickly, parents, quick. And then we're gonna do one little thing, and then we'll let you all do your thing. All right, come on, parents, let's go. There we go. This is a concert. My knee hurts now. This kind of goes. I joke around with the kids, but I feel old.
that's everybody? All right, on 3 again. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
All right, now let's do this quick little thing. Everyone here, here's how we dismiss ourselves for the evening. Whenever we go throw down, University and Washington Unified. RCR? All day! RCR? All day! RCR? All day! There we go. When we end closed session,
something you all started on your walk? I feel like there was a lot of bonding. There was a lot of bonding in. On your.
Man, we have to have
going
each
to
other's
the
back. Talk about
Hotel
trust.
Indigo.
Talk about building. He's like, man, I stayed by a 7-Eleven. I know. Oh, come on. Come on. Who are you three bigs? Oh, I'm just kidding. I had Kobe laughing the whole focus.
That is the best celebration that we have had in a very, very long time, because just having this room full and the music was such a gift. So they have exited, but what a gift that we had all of our students come on this Friday evening and their families as well to bring them. And my heart couldn't be more full. It's great. Okay, so this takes us to association reports. We have WSTA and we have President Knapp.
There it is. Thank you very much. Good evening, President Sarah Kirby Gonzalez, Vice President Jackie Wong, Clerk Coffey, and the rest of the trustees and Superintendent Hildreth and the cabinet. It's good to see you tonight. It's a celebratory night for many reasons. It was great to hear the band, and it's a night of a new panel in front of us, and so welcome to everybody. I'd like to take a second to welcome Virginia Coffey and congratulate Virginia Coffey for joining us in the WUSD family. I also want to congratulate Sarah Kirby Gonzalez for her election victory. And I'd also just like to say a profound thanks, I know she's not here, to former trustee Barnes for her work on behalf of our students and teachers in West Sacramento. I've really, over the last couple months, gotten to know trustee Barnes, and it was great working with you, and I hope if you're listening to this after the meeting on YouTube, I hope we have the opportunity to work in capacity to support students and teachers in West Sacramento again. I want to start out by talking a little bit about the work that WSTA and WUSD have been doing jointly. It seems like every day I'm hanging out with Stan, Kamaljit, or Farah, or Baljit. We've been really busy, but actually, you know, some of it is the typical kind of challenging situations that we're trying to resolve, but a lot of it is proactive work to try and continue to improve language in the contract, but also improve conditions in the district. And there's a mutual intent by all parties in acknowledging that this is the work that we're doing. And so I'd just like to acknowledge how far we've come. When we get in the room, we start by laughing, kind of reminding each other of our idiosyncrasies, and kind of like it's a nice kind of collegial atmosphere to be working in, and especially coming out of COVID, that's really good. So currently we've been working on to try and improve working conditions for our VAPA teachers. We're kind of, both sides are looking at the VAPA program, and since it's changed so much over the past 7 years or so, and making sure that we're still aligned with what we're expecting VAPA teachers to do and what it looked like in the beginning, and making sure that that process is up to date. We're near the end of working on our renewal for our Washington Unified Virtual Academy MOU. And I think I mentioned last time for we're kind of doing a pilot program where we jointly meet, as well as meeting individually separately, but we've been jointly meeting with WUSD and WSTA and teachers so that we're both hearing the same thing, and it makes communication easier. So that's been going really well. Also, I'm really pleased with our work with Ed Services on making sure that our PD process is fair, and that we're encouraging teachers to attend professional development and therefore aligning with our strategic plan. And so we're in the middle of that process. We've been there's just been things kind of flying, and we've been really, really busy, but I'm really happy about it. We are still, WUSD and WSTA have come to a mutual understanding that we do have some problems with class size based on our contract language. We are working collaboratively to try and figure out how to resolve it. And I will just say that the contract it's not exactly super clear in the area of class size, trying to get through to it, but I know there's a lot of teachers that are concerned, and rightfully so, about their class sizes and about why this year feels so different than other years and how class size is being handled. But we're finally to a phase with WUSD where we're working to try and figure out solutions. We've acknowledged the problem and we're working on solutions. So we're hoping that we can kind of deliver some answers to folks here pretty soon. And make sure that we start next year on the right foot in regards to class size. And I know you are not going to believe this, but I'm done. Good night. Have a good weekend.
Okay, thank you so much. And we have CSEA report on our agenda, and I do not see President Gandara.
No CSEA report this evening.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then that takes us to public comments, and we have our disclaimer. And members of the public may address the board on topics of our board agenda during every meeting. In addition, during regular meetings, the public may also address any topic within the jurisdiction of the board. Please know the board is listening to your comments, but by law cannot meaningfully respond in this forum to items not on the agenda. The board may limit the total time for public input on any topic to 20 minutes unless it waives the item limit for an item. Individual speakers may be limited to 3 minutes to comment on any item. The board respects the rights of members of the public to speak regarding matters within its jurisdiction. However, please recognize that comments regarding students other than the speaker's own children made during a public board meeting may be a violation of the student's rights to privacy, unless thus the speaker may be legally liable. If you reference a student's name other than your own student, you may be deemed out of order. Furthermore, it's important for the public to understand that negative or derogatory comments made against district employees or others, even those made in a public board meeting, may be actionable civil defamation. Although the board may not prohibit such comments, the board allows the public to lodge complaints against the district employees, providing more opportunity to be heard than is allowed under the open meeting law that governs this meeting. Okay, and so that takes us to public comment. And I believe we do have a public comment.
Yes, there is one in-person public comment request from Mr. Colin Malik.
Welcome.
Good evening, President Kerber Gonzalez, Vice President Wong, Trustee Venegas, and our newly elected clerk, Coffey. Welcome, congratulations. Cabinet, welcome as well. Dr. Hildreth, thank you. I would hope that the board would give me a little bit of leeway. I'm the only one speaking. I don't think I'll go over my 3. I have a story to just tell you. wearing my winter jacket. We're in season right now. It's exciting. I've got a really exciting junior varsity soccer team. I think the varsity team is looking very, very strong this year. It's a good year. Kids are excited to be back. They're definitely excited to be out on the pitch. And we practice at night, and it's cold, and it's wet, and it's dark. And for the past 4 weeks or so, I've heard that band every night. I heard that band in the back 40 behind our football stadium. And it was quite interesting as my kids are playing Magic Square or doing rondos and getting ready for the evening's activities, that Rudy Cisneros and the band is out there working feverishly, doing marching movements, moving around on the pitch in the dark. I brought this to your attention a year ago, and I looked at the dates. It's been almost a year to the date. I asked for 3 to 4 auxiliary spotlights on the back side of one of those totems where our lights, our floodlights are at. I talked to my cousin who's an engineer. He's an electrical engineer. Yeah, it's easy to run one line with one more light switch in the box if you've ever been in that press box to add an auxiliary light switch. There's 2 main switches, and all you'd have to do is add 1 more. 4 lights. They could have been out there without the use of portable lights. They could have been out there feeling supported in what they were doing out till 9 o'clock. My practice ended at 7:30, and they were still playing. I came to this board and asked a year ago for that. I also came to this board, and I know there's been some progress, and it was a nice little fix and fill in with President Gandara with his own personal system and PA system. I do know that there's been some traction and movement on that, and I do appreciate that. On both of these matters, which I believe serve students, I would humbly request an update. What is the status of 4 lights getting installed to allow late night practices? Last week was a boys' tournament. Girls were unable to practice. That is 2 programs, a junior varsity and a varsity girls program, unable to practice because of our tournament going on. They could not use the back because it's dark. This week, Thursday, Friday practices canceled for me because there is an issue of light. There is no room. Obviously, we'll make way for my fellow coaches on the girls' side of the house so that they can compete. They did it for us. We will definitely do it for them. That is how we work and operate here in River City. I humbly ask the board to please move expeditiously on fulfilling this need for students. There's a clear need for practice fields, and 4 auxiliary lights will more than suffice to satisfy both band, which clearly puts in the work and effort, as well as rugby, as well as junior Raiders, as well as all of the other supports and schools and students in our community that use this field at night. And it's just an aux field. It's not even lined. It would make a world of difference. I would humbly ask the board to please give us an update or please expedite the status. I'll keep it to those 2 because you have been so very gracious to me, and I appreciate it for letting me go over. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And that's our only public comment. The other one is submitted.
Correct.
Okay. So this is a public comment that has been pre-submitted in accordance with our guidelines on submitting letters. This is from, the name is Kindergarten Teachers, and they have submitted a written letter since they're unable to be here. And you keep me to time too. I probably can't read all of these names, but they'll be put into public record as well. Dear members of the board and Superintendent Hildreth, thank you for this opportunity to share what has been happening recently in kindergarten classes across Washington Unified School District. Over the last several years, our class sizes have incrementally changed from 20 to 26. However, our standards, teaching expectations, and our classroom budget to buy school supplies have not changed. We are very grateful for the 2 trained professionals and 2 permanent substitute teachers on each of our campuses. However, we are concerned with the way many schools are using their 2 trained paraprofessionals who are hired to address learning loss at K-3. The 2 permanent roving certificated substitute teachers at each school are pushing into the classrooms when they're not subbing for a teacher who is out. When the support staff are in the classroom supporting teachers and students have more opportunities to be successful. Unfortunately, daily at every school, the trained paraprofessionals who were hired for grades K-3 to address learning loss during the pandemic are not able to keep to a daily schedule. They are pulled on a regular basis to help out in a different classroom when a special education paraprofessional is absent or not even hired. For a student who's supposed to have a one-on-one aid or who has breaks built into their IEP 504. Additionally, the roving certificated substitute teachers are pulled from our classrooms to fill in for classified positions such as paras, yard supervisors, crossing guards, and secretaries. We're also pleased that parents have been allowed to return to the classroom to volunteer. Unfortunately, the processing time that parents must go through in order to volunteer has not been handled effectively. Parents who would like to volunteer and could be that extra person in the classroom for us are finding it's taking them 1 to 2 months to get their paperwork processed and receive their volunteer badge. That has only been happening if they're vigilant, calling the district office on a weekly basis to make sure their applications are being processed in a timely manner and have not been lost in the shuffle. At our last district grade level meeting, we discussed how it might be better if we all went back to the morning afternoon model since our classroom support has been inconsistent. That way we would know for sure that we had one qualified adult who knows how to differentiate on the spot while working with our teaching kindergartners. Making sure that social emotional learning is being addressed at the same time would more likely take place as well. However, we have heard from the teachers at one of 3 sites that do not have the AM/PM model that their partner is pulled to cover another class that has no teacher for part of the day. This happens on a regular basis that leaves the AM or PM teacher alone with no support. We understand that every grade level is important and has its own challenges and successes. However, kindergarten is where the foundation for learning is set. In kindergarten classrooms, students learn all the basics and phonics so that they become confident readers and writers in 1st and 2nd grade. It is where the teachers lay all groundwork for number sense so students can be successful in manipulating, explaining, and demonstrating mathematical concepts in upper grades. And it still has about another page to go. So I want to make sure that this is read into, that this is in our public record, but also that it's emailed to all of our board trustees.
President Kirby Gonzalez, I believe they sent it to us via email today.
Okay. All right, so know that it is being heard and attached to agenda. Okay. Okay, and that takes us to a public hearing, which we do not have this evening. Information discussion items, we also do not have this evening. So that takes us to the consent agenda. Are there any public comment on the consent agenda?
No public comments received.
Okay, and are there any changes to the consent agenda?
No changes, but I do have one staff introduction to make after the consent agenda is approved.
Perfect. Okay, great. All right, well, then can I have a motion?
I move.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Venegas moves.
And I second.
And Clerk Coffey seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
I also vote aye. Okay. Dr. Hildreth.
Thank you, President Kirby Gonzalez. I would like to introduce our new Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Dr. Lauren Mascareñas. So Lauren, if you could please stand up, and we want to make sure there's a name to a face. So, just as a reminder that it was at our August 25th board meeting that the board approved the district to recruit a Director 2 of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And the duties include, but are not limited to, implement and monitor key actions within the WUSD strategic plan, align resources that support the board's equity statement, and to build capacity for identifying and addressing equity challenges within the district. So tonight, the board has approved the hiring recommendation of Dr. Lauren Mascareñas for this position. Dr. Mascareñas has a wealth of knowledge that will be a great asset for this position, having earned her doctorate of education from Vanderbilt University. She has over 10 years of classroom and school experience in urban, rural, and suburban districts. She has developed and delivered in-person and online professional development for a global audience around identity, diversity, and action. Moreover, and most recently, she delivered professional learning to schools, organizations, and businesses on a national scale, as well as she has authored the book Evident Equity, a guide for creating system-wide change in schools, which is published by Solution Tree, which is an educational organization we worked with. We had one of their speakers was the keynote for our PLC back in October. So Dr. Mascareñas joins us tonight, and we are excited to have her join our district. We extend our appreciation to the board for approving this position and thus assist our district in the continual equity work we have embarked on. So thank you and welcome, and we will see you on Monday.
Welcome. Thank you for choosing Washington Unified. Okay, that takes us to our action items. So we have approval of transitional kindergarten program implementation, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, Mr. Sam Moisich.
Thank you, President Kirby Gonzalez. All members of the board, thank you very much. Tonight, we are going to go over our implementation of transitional kindergarten. This is in continuation. We did an update, as you recall, November 10th. So we will not cover all of that information. So we will kind of pick up on some key parts tonight. So if we go to the next slide, what I can tell you is that our purpose is to request the board to take action on our TK model for the 23-24 school year. We will review those models again and also review some continued considerations as we work towards our implementation. And we can go to the next slide and we can start looking at the program models next. Okay, thank you. So if you look at 22-23 on the top, we're looking at our AM-PM model. Of course, we'd projected possibly 129 students for Washington Unified School District in the TK program, transitional kindergarten. In order to do that, we needed 3 classrooms. Basically, our TK operates in an AM-PM model, so that when one group of students is in the AM, another group then comes in the PM with another teacher. So basically, one classroom facility hosts 2 classes of no more than 24 students with 2 teachers, one being primarily responsible for the AM and the other one primarily being responsible for the PM. So in this year, with that projected amount of students, we needed 3 classrooms, but that was actually 6 classes of no more than 24 students, since AM and PM with 3 classrooms meant we had 6 classes. And of course, each of those classes needs a teacher, so that meant 6 teachers. In addition to the teaching staff, we also needed a paraeducator in order to maintain the ratios. As you remember from the presentation prior, we needed to have a 12-to-1 ratio of adults to student. That does not have to be a certificated person in that adult. It could be certificated or classified, as long as there is one certificated person that is supervising. So we also, in our 3 classrooms, have 3 paras each assigned to each one of those classrooms. As we go down and you look going down the column or down the rows, you will notice that we are projected to have more and more students going all the way to 25, 26. And then at that point, we would have approximately 289 students. We would need more classrooms. We would also need more class sessions to maintain that. And that will increase our teachers, that will increase our paras, because we will have to maintain that ratio of 1 to 10 at that point. Next year, the ratio goes to 1 to 10, where it was 1 to 12 this year. So going further down to the next table, we have the full day projections. Full day, of course, means that it is not an AM-PM model. That means each classroom has 1 class. They are there for an extended period of time beyond just the AM session into the afternoon as well. In such a scenario, you would not have the 2 teachers doubling up, and that would increase the amount of adults that we would have to have and hire for those classes. It would also increase the amount of rooms that we would need in terms of facility for those students. So that's why if you look at that model, as you go down the rows, you will see that the teacher number may stay the same, but because of the fact that only 1 teacher can be in that particular facility at a time, that means that we would have to hire additional paras, and that's why that number gets quite a bit bigger as we look at that. And of course, we need more rooms in that scenario. So just to kind of give you an idea of what we had talked about last time. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Continuing with what I just said, this is just another model of showing the amount of rooms we would need. Gives you an idea that by 25-26 in the AM/PM model, we would need 7 classrooms for such a TK program. That would be an increase of 4 more rooms from where we are this current school year. If we were going full day, that would, of course, would be more rooms. And that would actually be 10 additional classrooms by 25-26 when we fully implement in terms of our projected number. Next slide. As a reminder, in terms of building an additional classroom, the cost is estimated to be about $1,350,000 currently. And we are looking at facilities grant programs. Those are available, but just to summarize and remind the board, they're not paying for the entire cost of those classrooms. They're only paying for roughly about $365,575 per each classroom. The rest would have to come out to different funding sources. There is a matching requirement, but of course, if they're not paying for the entire classroom, a matching requirement really is not much of an issue because we would have to be using other funds anyways to pay for that, and that would be more than 50%. So that requirement really is not much of an issue. Miscellaneously, just so you are aware, there are only, for this grant, the applications are capped at 4 classrooms, and as you recall in the previous slide, we would need, we believe, 10 additional classrooms. So just keep that in perspective. Next slide. Okay, so just to summarize what we just showed you on the tables, in an AM/PM model, in terms of our increased capacity, we would need 7 additional teachers, 4 paraeducators, and an additional 4 classroom spaces for that model going all the way to 25-26. Of course, something could change. We could get more students than what we just said. Or it could be slightly less, but I'm hopeful that'll be that much or not more. In a full day model, we would need also an additional 7 teachers. As I'd mentioned, it doesn't really change the teacher number. It's really about the paraeducators. We would need 23 additional paraeducators, as well as 10 additional classrooms. Based on this and based on our current facility and staffing that we currently have, for the future, our staff is recommending that we continue with the AM/PM model for the 23-24 school year as we work toward building our capacity and working into a broader implementation. And we will continue to reflect, of course, on the financial staffing and facility and all the other programmatic impacts of converting to a full day model in that time for our TK. Next slide. So just as a review, we will definitely work toward ensuring appropriate staffing. We know with increased need of staff over a phased implementation, there will be a lot of training needs that will come with that. We are working together to make sure we have the right spaces for early childhood development for our students, and so our teachers can do the best job they possibly can. We will work toward creating a very quality early childhood experience for all the students that participate, and develop appropriately age-appropriate curriculum and train our staff as we move forward. Several of us were at CSBA this past week. Lots of emphasis on that transitional kindergarten is not kindergarten light. It's much closer to the preschool model of early childhood education, and that is a shift from what our district has previously implemented. So we're still growing with that and still learning the best curriculum, the best training, and so that's still a growth area for us. Very important in terms of our program model is the quality education for our students, but also our families. So as you saw in the last presentation for information back in November, we spoke to you about how we are utilizing our partnerships with Champions, the YMCA, our state preschool, in order to expand the amount of time our students are actually on our campuses to help our families. And so many students and families are already taking advantage of that. Our goal is to continue that expansion, and we are looking into the possibility of adding other community partners so that we can increase that expansion too. As you know, even we're not the only ones, we being public education, we're not the only ones that sometimes have an issue of finding staffing. Other organizations have this issue as well, including some of the partners that I had mentioned. City of West Sacramento, which is a partner with our ACES program, is also a part of that. And so we are looking at the possibility of adding even more partners to give our families more opportunities. Next slide. Wanted to also bring this slide out. It was brought up at our last presentation for information that Head Start is also a community partner that we have been working with. And our state preschool regularly collaborates with the Yolo County Head Start program, which is on our Alice Norman campus, to help meet the needs of families. And they do operate a full-day program at the Alice Norman site. Depending on the needs of the families, Washington Unified School District, our state preschool program, and Head Start, we do refer students to one another to service family needs depending on what the need is. So we are working in collaboration with them, and so we wanted to make sure that everyone understood that they are a key partner for us as well. Next slide. Again, just we have a very broad team, ed services, business services, HR, superintendent and communications. All of us are part of these discussions on how we can improve. We also work with Yolo County Office of Ed, City of West Sacramento, and those partners that I just mentioned just a few moments ago. And so, again, we're asking the board to allow us to continue with the AM/PM model for the 23-24 school year. If that decision is made, that will allow all our teams together to start working on proper implementation for next year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any public comments on this item?
No public comments received.
Okay, and I'll bring it to the board. Are there any board questions or comments?
I want to thank you for doing the Yo People's work on this. I know it's hard and it's a moving target. I am going to ask, and you will do this, work with the facilities committee on if we are going to, whatever model that we decide on, AM, PM, we are going to have to build this somehow. And so just making sure that we're coordinating with the facilities subcommittee on what that looks like.
I also want to acknowledge someone very important to this process, which is my director of early childhood education, Rahle Atabaki. She's probably somewhere in bed watching this, as she's not feeling well. Otherwise, she would be here with me here tonight, as she's been a major part of this work.
And then the only thing is, I know this is about the in-class time, but the 9-hour day isn't. I know we've talked about in the past, the requirement of providing a 9-hour day. The offer. So coordinating with our ACES around that. So I would love to, when it comes back to us, what those models could look like. I know you're going to have conversations with the community and others, but that I know that was a kind of a deep, a big discussion for the board about how we would meet the 9-hour requirement.
At some point in the near future, we are planning to come back with a presentation on ELOP, on the overall process. So it's not just
Calling it ELOP.
You don't? I'm sorry.
No. PD doesn't.
Oh, okay. I'll get on the inside there. But in general, so this tonight, of course, is about TK, but we do plan on bringing a presentation because that process and those funds will also help TK through 6th grade. in a broader level. So that is our plan.
A really great work.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate it, and I appreciate having the breakdown of the facility funding as well. You know, we get initiatives that come to us, and then there's already so much on public education's plate, and then to not fully fund facilities and things, it's important to be very transparent in that. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
De nada.
All right, thank you so much. So that now takes us,
So
oh,
do
we have
need
to
a
approve
vote?
it. Well, we
Yes.
should approve it, shouldn't we?
I move to, I move to provide, to approve the plan as is.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Okay, so moved by Vice President Wong, seconded by Trustee Venegas. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Vote aye. Thank you. Okay, so now we have the approval of the contract services with NTEC Consulting Group, and that is Assistant Superintendent Business Services, Monique Stovall.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This evening, we are asking for your approval of contract with Intech Consulting Group. This contract would be paid for with Measure Z funding and is valued at $38,800. The purpose of this contract is for hazardous material testing during the Measure Z Westfield modernization project. Specifically, they will be testing for asbestos and lead and doing lead monitoring. I also wanted to share that this aligns with our strategic plan goal number 3 and LCAP goal number 3 as
Are there any public comments on this item?
No public comments received?
Okay, any board comments? No? Okay, I don't have any comments either, so can I get a motion?
I move.
I gotta just keep my mic on. A second.
Okay, moved by Vice President Wong and seconded by Clerk Coffey, and all in favor?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Thank you. Okay, and that brings us now to board governance. So we are confirming the second regular board meeting date in December 2022. Dr. Hildreth.
Yes, thank you, President Kirby Gonzalez. At our June 9th regular board meeting, the board adopted the regular board meeting calendar for 22-23. And the original approved date was to be Thursday, December 22nd, but that date is no longer a date where all trustees are available. Thus, we are bringing this scheduling conflict forward to ask to reschedule the second board meeting for a date in December, but before December 22nd, so that we can provide the public with ample notice of the new date and time. We are proposing to hold the meeting, change it from a regular board meeting on the 22nd, and it would be listed as a special board meeting on Thursday, December 15th, which would be next Thursday. So kind of keeping the Thursday date cadence that we have, but just changing it a week earlier. We can do that Thursday. We really can go up to December 20th, that Tuesday, for our availability. So it is up now for trustees to let us know what date works best for you.
The 15th does not work for me.
The 15th does not work for you. The 20th does not work for me, but so I can go up to the 19th would work for me. How about anyone else? Any scheduling conflicts?
The 19th does work for me.
That's a Monday.
I can I can make the 19th. Probably the best option is the 19th or the 15th, but I might be a little bit late. Not get a speeding ticket.
And we don't.
Yeah.
We don't want to.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's make sure we can get a quorum. And do you think that you could be there on
The 19th? Yeah.
Okay, and we don't have Christy Pizzotti with us to know what his availability is. So as long as there's 3 of us, it looks like it's all of us, and then one may be a little bit late. Would that work, Dr. Hildreth, if it was on Monday, December 19th?
Yes, we could make it Monday, December 19th. That worked for us.
I have a question as far as,
Sure.
were we going to classify it regular or special, just to confirm? I'm just trying to adhere to the Brown Act, the special 24-hour notice, regular is 72-hour publication notice, so just to,
I would prefer a regular if you have if you're able to do that, but that means you have to post,
by,
you have to look at your staff calendar to see how you all feel about that, because if that's too much of a stretch.
well, if we are allowed or special, then we can publish a week from today, the Friday before. And then if I can confirm the location, if we can host it at the district office, because the chambers aren't usually available Monday afternoon.
I would suggest, even though it's a special, I think it was noticed as a regular and people are expecting it. So it probably, regardless of whether, like, I would rather it's at latest 24, they'll do the 72-hour and notice everybody, because people, we had different things on different days. And so just making sure that materials do take that those 3 days, because from my understanding, it's a robust calendar. So I know that we can push it, but can we try to do the 3 days, regardless of whether or not it's special? That's my personal request for public transparency.
Yes, so our goal is to have everything ready still 72 hours before. What I would just want to clarify is, if we're canceling one regular, can we reschedule as a regular, or do we have to cancel a regular, have a special, even though it's still items that would be on a regular agenda?
I defer to you to talk to council about
Yes.
how to notice it.
Yes.
But regardless of what you call it, a regular or
Correct.
special, I would request the 72 hours, because it originally was supposed to be a 72. I mean,
I agree,
it's
and I
up for
think-
discussion, yeah.
I agree, and I think that is a good question for Marie, if you can, and since we're giving a leeway of, not doing it that Thursday, pushing it, hopefully it can be published in time. So if we're able to call it a regular, and regardless, trying to give it plenty of time to be published. So nobody thinks we're trying to slide something in
Correct.
December. It's a perception. Of course, you're not. Okay. All right. So December 19th.
Yes, and I will communicate with Trustee Pizzotti and just let him know and update everybody else.
Perfect. And we'll plan probably for the district office.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And so that now brings us down to board and superintendent comments. Dr. Hildreth.
Thank you. I want to just start by acknowledging really the board, and for those in the audience, the trustees and I and executive cabinet had the opportunity to attend the California School Boards Association conference last week in San Diego, and this is an opportunity for school boards. Really, that is the purpose, for professional development for school board members. And I don't think a lot of people know that there is actually a professional development conference for school board members across the state. And I think there were approximately 4,000 attendees. And it's just such a good opportunity to, one, hear what's happening across the state, being able to engage with colleagues. It's filled with workshops, and I think the difference about the workshops at CSBA versus workshops when we all go to conferences, it's really, most conferences are specific to your role. So it's either admin, or it might be a curriculum or pedagogy. But at CSBA, it is themes and things that whole teams are working on. So I was able to attend, it was a session about how to deal with conflict on school boards. And not because we have conflict, but you always want to get in front of, if we were to have, conflict, how hearing from people who have done that, who have had some tensions that I think we're so fortunate not to have had, but just learning the lessons that we're learning. I attended some on TK implementation. I attended some sessions on equity work because that is my lens, that is my passion, and I want to continue to be a learner and hear what successes other districts are having. And as usual, as I know I have shared with trustees, it also validates the special relationship that our governance team has in terms of staying focused on the needs of our students and our communities, and the conversations that we have are very student centered. And it's interesting in that setting, you realize that that's not happening everywhere. So it's just a really great way, I think, to end the school year end the semester as we remotivate and reset, and we're a new board, and we're going to have new trainings and just getting to know each other. So I think I learned a lot in that. Also been a week of learning. We've had at the district office, we had our equity task force meeting this week, and those 2 hours are just amazing. And it is our certificated classified admin, and it's being facilitated by Nicole Anderson and Dr. Shelley Holt. And just we are now into the point of action planning. So we spend like the first hour of learning because we all need to make sure we have a common language and a common understanding before we start trying to get to solutions. Because first we need to step back and what is the problem we're trying to solve? And do we all understand it? What is the lens that we're bringing to the table? So that's what our conversations have been in the equity task force. So we're at the stage now where we have we've divided into 3 groups. We've looked at our data, and we now have an action team that is working on certain areas where those members said, this data speaks to me. So we have a group that is looking at the data and experiences of our English learner. We have a group that is really looking at our suspension and our chronic absenteeism rate. And then the third group is one where just root cause digging. We've decided to look at the disproportionality of African American students in alternate education, in YOLO and now in WUVA. So it's just raised questions, but that's where we are. And then our cabinet and our school leaders met this week to talk about our action plans related to our strategic plan. So in February, we're going to be coming to the board, giving an update of where we are with the strategic plan implementation. And it started with each school, each division creating an action plan. And they've been spending time being, if you're familiar with the Critical Friends protocol, where you get feedback from a colleague who is not in your division, and do they understand the actions that you have laid out, and giving you feedback from a non-ed services lens. So it's been really helpful. So our cabinet has done that, and our principals and assistant principals are going through the same process. And it's been really helpful to the point where our admin teams are asking for more time to do that, to get feedback from their peers and hearing ideas of what their peers are doing that they hadn't considered. But that is the whole point of collaboration and professional development. And then lastly, just this afternoon, it was just our principals. We are working on what we're calling equity summits with Nicole, and it's really giving our leaders the tools to have courageous conversations on equity. Because before you can lead it, you have to see it, and you have to know, how do I advocate for children when they can't advocate for themselves. And that is our role. But that's difficult because we all are in education because we care about kids. But part of it is, are we listening to kids? Are our good intentions, is everyone seeing your good intentions, or are they perceiving your intentions differently? So it's been a lot of deep reflective work over the last 2 weeks, and instead of it like being overwhelming, I think about what Nicole asked, or Dr. Shelley Holt asked at the end of our equity task force. Her ending question was, describe how you were feeling when you came into the meeting and describe how you're feeling when you left. And the ongoing piece was, I came in here, I was scattered, I had all these things on my mind, and I'm leaving feeling hope. And so that is the goal, where we are giving our admin, we're giving our teachers, we're giving our classified the tools they need to feel hope, because that's what our students need. They need us to be hopeful and then have a solution that is based in data and feedback that is meaningful for us. That's it. Thank you.
On that note, Trustee Venegas, your comment.
I'm all zenned out. I know we mentioned the conference. Definitely brings you back to humility and just gratitude as to, having a strong board. Like, we have a strong-minded board, and still being able to be aligned, like, right? Alignment versus communication, in a sense. Like, just being aligned, we are all here to serve our community and do our best in learning how to be our best. So it was a great time. Bienvenida, Clerk Coffee. Excited for you, and thank you for stepping in and stepping up to serve in this way. Definitely looking forward to learning from you and just your perspective. So it can, I've always said that culture is a living thing. You can't just set the culture. It's continuously living, and it's really being open-minded. So definitely looking forward to learning from your experience and your lens. And just thank you to everybody for doing all the hard work. Gracias a Mario for doing all the work. I'm good. It's December, and let's continue the momentum through December and into 2023 with gratitude and service in mind.
Thank you. Clerk Coffee.
Well, on that note, thank you. Muchísimas gracias. I'm looking forward to learning and sharing and teaching in different types of lenses. This is definitely an experience that I couldn't have done without the people that are not here too, because they do have a voice. And sometimes as a parent, you want to go to a meeting so you can speak your mind, but you don't know what you don't know. And I definitely want to hopefully educate those so that they know that this is a place where they can come and express those concerns. And if they're unable to, be that voice. Looking forward to it, most definitely.
Vice President Wong.
Thank you for running. Thank you for everyone who runs. It's part of democracy. I always say it's just, there's just so many good choices on deck, right? And so it takes a lot to put yourself out there, right, to tell your story. And I think alignment really is. It's always been, you go to CSB and you go, oh, they really don't get along. They don't really hang out, but we really like each other, right? Regardless of how people feel, and we will, that's why, we like the inside jokes and all that, because we really, really just enjoy each other and have different ways to the same end. CSBA is always phenomenal, but also a lot of work. I presented all 3 days, and I am proud to say I was elected by the Delegate Assembly to be the Region 6 representative for the greater Sacramento area, representing all the way from Placer to Elk Grove to Yolo to so all of those districts, and just looking forward to serving in my new capacity at CSBA in leadership. It is a honor and a privilege to serve in all these ways, and it's opened up so many opportunities to learn. I appreciate the conversations about culture. I appreciate just the reason why we do CSBA every year is professional development, but also kind of to reset as a board, to get to know one another, and to envision and take back our learnings from the different sessions and the different people and different humans, about how we move this agenda forward. We have a strategic plan. How do we work together to do that? On that note, I wanted to kind of also have the board consider looking at our bylaws. A lot of other boards actually, before you come into leadership, vice president or the presidency, have folks go through the full MIG, Masters in Governance training, so you understand what this is about, what governing is and what it isn't, and what our role is. So that is something I would love for folks to consider in terms of changing our bylaws, because I've always found it helpful and always a good reference. And just excited. I apologize, I'm tired because I feel like I've only been home one day in the last 2 weeks. So just grateful to be here. Oh, one more. Oh, of course, one. That's like a Kobe move. One more thing.
Felicidades, President Kirby Gonzalez. Excited to see you lead. I know both of you leading this way. You guys have been incredible. I've learned a whole lot. So, felicidades. Salud.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you to Vice President Wong for this past year. It was it's been just a challenging time, not necessarily on our board, just in education's continue to be challenging, but getting a lot easier. But this past year did still come with it challenges that came through. So thank you for your work and leadership in that and getting us through. And CSBA, I'm still spinning with all of the workshops. I took a lot of good notes. I went to some facility pieces and others. I have a lot of notes. You know me, I go back and highlight my notes. Haven't done all that yet because I'm still just simmering on what. I know, I highlight every. But also with the notes and the pieces, also I think what's important, and so I will be excited that you will be joining us next year as well, is I haven't laughed that hard in a very long time. And thank you, new highlighter. And laughter, you know, is a very healthy, good way. And sometimes this work is serious and it's challenging and it can be hard. And it's nice to just all, you know, laugh and have fun together too, which is important. I'm glad we can do that. And you're right, other boards cannot. So I'm happy that we're there. And of course, welcome to Clerk Coffee here on this board. And I hope that we've learned from our challenging onboarding through COVID that this is a much easier transition for you as well. And that we do. We learned about, you know, there's a lot of things that come up and questions. And so we're all here to answer them for you as you navigate and share with us as well. And then to our outgoing trustee, Christy Barnes, for all of her work as well, because she's been an important asset to the district. And that's not going to change because, of course, she is a parent in our district and will be here. And I know we'll still be advocating for kids. In terms of anything, I'm going to end right there. I think the idea of MIG is a good one. It took me a while to get through those courses. They're important courses, and CSBA has made it so much easier now because you can do it virtually. And so it's a series of courses to go through, and it really is a good learning experience and tool. And you can do it at your own pace. There is an order that you go through on finance, on facilities, on collective bargaining, but they're really good courses, and you can do them when you are ready to do them. And do they still have some in-person or virtual? Is that correct? How virtual.
That was not a, that was not an intentional plug. The virtual options are becoming much more popular, but we do have in-person
Okay.
coming up soon. Our next in-person for a couple will be coming in May.
Okay. It's nice to have that because then you don't have to travel if it's harder on your family, childcare, whatnot. It's nice to have those options. So, okay. Well, then that will take us on into our future board agenda items. Do we have any future board agenda items?
I think I'll just formally
Looking at the
request the
policy.
facilities,
Okay.
not the finance.
The finance.
I just formally
Okay,
request it.
so we will make sure that the finance committee is on our board governance to approve and to also select committee members for our next meeting, which will be on Monday, December 19th. Also, did you want to look at the bylaws for MIG? And then the other piece would be our board handbook. Ideally, we revisit it every year. And so if we could have our board handbook on there just to refresh, and then of course to make sure whenever there's new board members, it's good to have that as well. Okay, I think that's it. All right, then we're going to adjourn. Oh, last thing I have to say is we did decide if we ever go, which let's just not do it, but if we ever go to 10 o'clock or later, that trustee Venegas will now be leading us in some meditation or deep breathing. We decided if we need a break. Yeah. Yep. That's what we'll be. We might want to get that officially in policy as well. And with that, we're going to adjourn. And